how could you do this to somebody? I mean, seriously.
The annuity's gone.
The annuity's gone.
Your credit's gone.
My credit's gone.
And you have to sell your house.
And I have to sell my house.
Laura had a house in Aurora. She had an annuity. She had credit. She had the architecture of a stable future, built across decades of work and planning. The house was not simply property. It represented security, the physical structure within which she expected to age, to rest, to live out the years that remained. When she joined the online dating site, she was not seeking risk. She was seeking companionship. The platform promised connection, the possibility of finding someone to share the stability she had built. Richard appeared to be that person. The early communications followed patterns that felt organic. They exchanged numbers. They moved off the dating platform, which scammers consistently encourage because it removes the oversight and reporting mechanisms that platforms provide. They began to email. The messages were affectionate, lyrical even. If I had a flower for every time I thought about you, I would have a whole garden forever. Every time I see your picture, I fall in love with you all over again. These are not casual statements. They are performances of devotion, calibrated to create emotional dependency. Laura kept these letters, a table full of them. The accumulation itself is significant. Each letter represented proof. Each message reinforced the reality of the relationship. The volume of correspondence became evidence of authenticity. How could someone who wrote so much, so consistently, so tenderly, not be real? The plan they constructed together was specific. Richard would live in her house. They would buy a second home in Florida. This is the future tense that romance scammers deploy with precision. They do not simply express love. They build joint futures, collaborative narratives that position the victim as a partner in something being constructed together. Laura was not sending money to a stranger. She was investing in their shared life. The requests began small: $2,000, $3,000. These amounts, in the context of a relationship she believed would result in marriage, in shared property, in decades of companionship, did not register as significant. They registered as temporary assistance, the kind of help partners provide each other during difficulty.
Bacchus was tricked into sending dozens of cash payments totaling $250,000 to a person who she thought would be a partner for life.
He was going to move here in this house, and then we were going to buy a house in Florida.
She met Richard on an online dating site. Shortly after, she says they ditched the dating platform interface and exchanged numbers and email.
Every time I see your picture, I fall in love with you all over again.
A table full of romantic love letters.
If I had a flower for every time I thought of you, I would have a whole garden forever.
The extraction totaled $250,000. This figure represents not a single decision, but dozens of separate transactions. Wire transfers from multiple bank accounts. Lines of credit drawn down. Gift cards purchased and transmitted. Each transaction was a discrete choice, made in a context that had been carefully engineered to make refusal feel like betrayal. The largest single transfer was $50,000. This amount did not arrive first. It arrived after months of smaller requests, after the pattern of compliance had been established, after Laura had already sent enough to create what psychologists call the sunk cost trap. To stop at that point would mean accepting that everything prior had been lost. To continue offered the possibility, however diminishing, that the investment would eventually pay off. The FBI describes this mechanism precisely. People feel they cannot put the brakes on because everything they have done so far would be for nothing. This is the psychological architecture that romance scams exploit. The scammer does not simply ask for money. The scammer creates conditions in which refusing money feels like self-sabotage, like abandoning a future that is almost within reach. Richard claimed he needed funds to access money that would soon be theirs to share. This framing is critical. Laura was not giving, she was facilitating. The money she sent was positioned as a temporary barrier to the wealth they would jointly possess. Once Richard reached the United States, once he could access his funds, the imbalance would reverse. She would be repaid many times over. This is the promise that sustains extraction. The victim is not spending. The victim is unlocking. Every wire transfer brings the reunion closer. Every gift card removes another obstacle. The narrative of shared future transforms each payment from loss into investment. The picture Richard sent was fake. Laura did not know this. She believed she was looking at the man she loved, the man who wrote her letters daily, the man who would soon live in her house and help her buy property in Florida. The image was harvested from somewhere online, attached to a persona constructed specifically to exploit her.
6 weeks worth of build-up to where we were, I thought, really close, and for him to ask for, it started out small amounts, you know, like $2,000 or $3,000. The largest one was like $50,000.
Bacchus says those wire transfers eventually racked up to $250,000, all sent from her various bank accounts, lines of credit, even gift cards. But Bacchus says the scammer's story was convincing. What's now believed to be a fake picture with Richard holding a check for $1.3 million. And this fake bank statement showing his account had $1 million in it.
He made me beneficiary to some account that he had.
Bacchus believed that money would soon all be theirs to share once Richard could get to the U.S. to access the funds.
The journalist called Richard's phone numbers. No one answered. This is how romance scams end. The communication that was once constant, the daily letters, the affectionate messages, the plans for Florida, all of it ceases the moment the money stops. Richard did not explain. Richard did not apologize. Richard simply disappeared, as though the months of correspondence had never occurred. Laura reported to police and the FBI. The Bureau acknowledges that victims have some hope. You never know which case is going to be the one where you get all the money back. This is not reassurance. This is statistical honesty. Most money is not recovered. Most scammers are not caught. The infrastructure of international wire fraud is designed to ensure that funds vanish across borders faster than investigators can trace them. 21,000 people reported romance scam losses in the period referenced, $143 million. Laura is one data point within that aggregate, but the statistics do not capture what she lost beyond money. The house in Aurora must be sold. The annuity is gone. The credit is destroyed. The retirement she spent decades building no longer exists. She told her family. This moment, unelaborated in the news segment, contains its own weight. The private admission that the stability she had promised herself, and perhaps promised them, had been transferred to a stranger she never met, whose photograph was stolen, whose name was invented, whose love was manufactured for extraction. This ruined my life. I have no retirement left. She is not wrong. And there is no indication that Richard, whoever he is, wherever he operates, will ever be found.
Victims of this scam do have some hope?
You never know which case is going to be the one where you're going to get all of the money back.
I called the phone numbers Bacchus had for Richard.
I will contact you as soon as possible.
And he didn't answer.
Oh, it's ruined my life. I have no retirement left.
Bacchus says she reported the thief to police and the FBI after she broke the life-changing news to her family.
You're glad they're there for you.
Yeah.